This dive is down in Sardinia, an island in Italy. The dive spot is called Sardinia Santa Maria Navarrese. Hopefully I didn't butcher that. But here we're actually on our way back. This dive location is obviously in the Mediterranean Sea, and I was not expecting to see all of this underwater grass, but the grass has all these white tips on it. They're called the Posidonia meadows, and this is actually endemic. The seagrass is endemic to the Mediterranean Sea. They're vital for all the marine life that use the grass as a shelter or feeding grounds for the fish and all the invertebrates. And the white tips on the grass are actually showing that it's new growth, and they're eventually going to turn into flowers. Water temperature is about 66 Fahrenheit. The wetsuit I'm wearing is 5 millimeters, and it was the water is pretty cold, but not as cold as in California. It was still okay. I felt comfortable. Here we start to move into these rock formations that are just absolutely gorgeous. They're shaped by geological forces, and they create like canyons, peaks, and meadows, as you'll be able to see as we dive through here. Just so beautiful. And there's some limestone formations as well, and these are granite boulders. They create those beautiful canyons and peaks for marine life to basically live and hide. You can see there the little nursery of fish. They're just floating around in that area. So cute. You can see here the rocks are just incredibly gorgeous, and it feels to me like we're hiking almost, but just underwater. Yeah, the rocks here are just so magnificent. There goes Timmy. He's such a trooper because he had a really bad headache, And I think he was sick on this trip, and he still went diving, which is crazy because you shouldn't be diving when you're sick, but I think he was able to equalize, so he was able to go down. But yeah, he was such a trooper. In these moments, I start like hitting pure bliss and just states of ecstasy, and so I'm just like laughing and just kind of taking in the beauty of the earth and all these things that are like hidden beneath us that we are not even aware. And most people won't even get to see any of this, and how incredibly sad is that? But I'm so grateful to be able to experience this, and I'm so happy that we're able to just go down and spend time down here, you know? One of my favorite things to observe is like the sunlight hitting these rocks, and they make these rays of light. It's just so beautiful and gorgeous. And I always feel like I'm dreaming. You see the rocks in the back I'm pointing to also. It's just like a bunch of these rocks just show up, and then as you swim away, like they start to disappear. And it's just so beautiful. You can see like the sunlight hitting it. In real life, I mean, in person it's obviously so much prettier than what I could capture on this camera, but you can kind of get an idea. Katie said right before we entered that, you know, she was asking like, okay, are you guys ready to go into a dream and become mermaids? And it's exactly like she said. It's definitely like stepping into a dream, and you're like in this weird portal that opens up. Yeah, it's just a really incredible experience. And the dive here was really very easy. There was no real like currents or surges, and so like no real fighting anything. So it was an easy dive, and you can see I'm pointing out at all the sunlight glistening on this beautiful rock with all the grasses and the algae and things that are growing on there. It's so gorgeous. Look at that. Who would have thought? It's just so beautiful. But yeah, the dive here was very easy, and I had good enough weights, so I wasn't overweighted or underweighted. And I think the water temperature was cold, but the wetsuit was good enough for it, so I felt really good. And the great part about diving here is that, as you can see, there's not a lot of divers, so it's really well protected. And I mean, Sardinia is probably really one of the best dive spots as well in Italy. So I'd like to go explore more of it. But again, this is a really, really well-preserved area just because you don't see a bunch of divers doing silly things. The visibility as well was so incredible, as you can see. It was just so refreshing to be out here. It's the Mediterranean Sea, so it's super pretty. I could just imagine buying a house here and maybe even a boat and just going out for the weekends and just jumping in and go and explore this area. I mean, it's just so beautiful. And I do recall this dive up north of Sardinia. There was a ton of currents and wind that was causing lots of like currents. So we ended up going to this little cove to dive, which was still very incredible. But yeah, there was, I didn't want to be like going against too much currents and fighting all that. I'd rather just experience like calm waters, just because it's, you don't have to like fight against it and use too much air. So it was great. This area was beautiful cove. Max depth that we went down to here was around 45 feet, and you can see like the sand and the rocks at the bottom. Here we will ascend without any lines. We're just releasing all of the air out of our PCDs so that we can ascend safely.